Welcome to Ask Jabrielle. I'm Jabrielle Morningstar, and today's question is, Mercury retrograde ends in just a couple of days. So does that mean everything goes back to normal? If you've been counting down the days until Mercury retrograde finally ends, you're definitely not alone. Every retrograde, I hear the same question. When will it end? Circle it on our calendar and breathe a sigh of relief when Mercury finally goes direct. That's on Thursday. And then Friday rolls around. The computer still freezes. Someone misunderstood a text message. A package still hasn't arrived. Or a meeting gets rescheduled one more time. And our first thought is, wait a minute, I thought Mercury retrograde was over. The truth is, it is. But there's one more piece of information that often gets left out of the conversation. It's called the shadow period. Think about it like driving through a construction zone. Eventually, you pass all the orange cones. The construction itself is far behind you, but traffic doesn't suddenly just jump back to full speed. Cars are still merging, lanes are still narrow, everything just takes a little longer to get back to normal. That's a lot like what happens during Mercury retrograde. The illusion of Mercury moving backwards stops, and we see it moving forward again, but it's still traveling through the same part of the zodiac where the retrograde happened. Astrologers call that the shadow. I think the shadow gets somewhat of an unfair reputation. People hear the word shadow and immediately assume that something bad is going to happen. Not at all. In my experience, the shadow isn't about creating new problems. It's about finishing the old ones. This is often when that conversation actually occurs. The email that you've been waiting for suddenly arrives. The paperwork that's been sitting on someone's desk gets signed. You're reconnected with somebody that you lost touch with during the retrograde. Or maybe you finally understand why something happened the way it did. Retrogrades have a funny way of slowing us down just long enough to see what we've been overlooking. The shadow gives us a chance to put those lessons into practice. Does that mean that everything's perfect now? Probably not. You may still hit a few bumps. Technology can be especially quirky. Conversations may still require a little extra patience. Travel plans may still change. The difference is that the energy is no longer working against forward progress. Instead, it's about tying up those loose ends. Now let's talk about another phase, one that gets a lot of chatter online, Mercury shade. Whenever I hear somebody talk about Mercury retrograde shade, it always makes me smile. Because despite how often it's used, shade is not an official astrological term. Retrograde shade is really nothing more than internet humor. It could be Zoom updating at the worst possible moment, or your GPS decides to send you on the scenic route when you were in a hurry, or maybe your coffee spills 5 minutes before an important meeting. Was that Mercury throwing shade? Or maybe it's just life being life. Either way, it's nothing to fear. One thing I've experienced after watching Mercury retrograde year after year, the more you expect disaster, the more every little inconvenience is just going to seem like proof that Mercury is out to get ya. But that's not how I approach astrology. I see astrology like a weather forecast. If there's rain in the forecast, I grab an umbrella. I don't cancel my plans. I don't cancel my life. Mercury retrograde is the same way. It's simply information. During this time of Mercury shadow, I still recommend slowing down just a little bit. Continue double-checking emails before you hit send. If you haven't backed up your computer yet, do it now. Give yourself a few extra minutes if you're traveling. And if someone misunderstands something that you said, pause, take a breath before responding. A little patience goes a long way. So, myth or magic? The idea that everything instantly goes back to normal the moment that Mercury turns direct. Definitely a myth. The shadow that follows? Now, that's real. But instead of making it out as one last obstacle, try looking at it as Mercury clearing up all those loose ends before you move into the next chapter. And honestly, I think that's a pretty magical way to end this retrograde. This has been Ask Jabrielle. I'm Jabrielle Morningstar, and until next time, stay magical.